Hey, what's going on everyone? Soul here, and welcome to my analysis slash preview of Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 4. I covered both Tier 2 and Tier 3 in prior videos and had a lot of fun making them, and people seem to really enjoy them and find them helpful, which is always a great bonus. Tier 4 promises to be a step up from the last two, so we really need to dive in here and look at these stages and start brainstorming some ideas. So first and foremost, I want to thank the Tonberry Troupe for their exhaustive research on these stages, all the work that they do in getting us global players a fighting chance. So thank you folks over there. And thank you as well to my friend Sephi, who reprised his role capturing gameplay and footage, so you guys have a visual guide to go along with all the talking from me. So as usual, we will cover the Tonberry Troupe portion of the guide first, talking about the stages themselves, their recommendations, and the mechanics and such. And then the end will then cover me talking about my own teams, what I plan on bringing here, and why. Without any further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive into Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 4 Left Gate. The Flan Gate. This is the one that people are generally worried about between the two. Oh, and I should mention one last thing, that all links to applicable people like Sephi, Tonberry Troupe, their site, etc. will be in the description, so check that out if you'd like. Alright, let's get started. So the left gate here is the scary gate between the two. The orb will appear at 79% HP and is at a 20 count. Cleansing debuff off an ally is plus 8 to the count, and you're going to need to bring a white crystal character to the gate. So some key character examples that are shown here are Yuna, Penelo, Mog, Yuffie, Theodore, and Balthier. Moving on to the boss notes, 65 turn fight. Orb is plus 8 turns per debuff cleansed. Bosses are immune to their own burns debuff. Enemies rotate resistance to Thunder, Wind, and Ice and start resistance to Thunder, Wind. Enemies are HP attack happy and have high speed, pumping out relentless attacks. Many are Brave plus HP or Brave gain in HP. If they do a Brave only attack, be sure to break them quickly, as you'll notice their turns are quite frequent. The adds recast is Acid Plus. They recover from break, gain Brave, and do a guaranteed hit AoE HP attack. They deal extra HP damage to debuff party members. The recast also inflicts Blind and Hex debuffs. The boss will do the Generate Body on himself if the adds are dead, gaining a large amount of Brave damage reduction. Break the enemy to force him to resummon the adds using High Split and drop the Brave damage reduction. High Split will raise his attack max Brave and give him a Brave regen effect. The main boss will raise his stats throughout the fight, as well as gain high Brave damage reduction, 75 to 80%, and reduce party Brave gains 20 to 30%. While he's in Fire mode, which is Thunder, Wind, Resist, look out for their Burns debuff, which is a 10% max HP poison. They also have both single target AoE versions of Brave HP attacks. While in Water mode, which is Ice Resist, look out for a Poison debuff, and again, Relentless single target AoE HP attacks. Do you guys get all that? Good. There's a lot. So, key character notes here. Required, so you're going to need to bring a white crystal character. Yuna, of course, is going to be a prime example here. Other recent white crystals that may be helpful on this stage are Penelo, Porum, Queen, Sarah, and Deuce. They wrote Deuce here without any sort of irony, which is pretty ironic if you think about it. Other potentially helpful white crystal characters are Warrior of Light, Arciela, and Hope, but you may have them in another tier already. Cleanser. So, for party, Yuna, Yuffie, Penelo, Mog, Balthier, Theodore, all options. Useful calls, Yuna, Mog, Penelo, and Theodore. So, in bolded letters here, single target damage dealer is highly recommended. Tank is helpful, but most comps that they saw did not use one. Now, they do note here that they currently do not see a single Tier 4 left gate video clear without Yuna, but they did say that there's screenshot evidence with others such as Penelo, Mog, and Theodore. That's pretty telling to me. That should tell you guys a lot about how difficult this gate is, that they weren't able to find any video evidence of a clear without Yuna at the time that it released. Tifa is used to deal massive single-target Brave damage to the main boss. Once again, her instant turns, free turns, and intense damage coming. Quite handy if you didn't use her already. Vaughn is just a massive magical DPS. He's going to be doing just crazy amounts of damage as well. Yuffie works to maintain the orb, and her EX debuff completely neutralizes the enemy recasts. Keep in mind, she does self-cleanse and removes one party buff. Such will make the party deal max Brave damage as well as seal the enemy's Brave damage. Gladio, protect the party as the enemy attacks are mostly single target brave. He'll be able to keep everyone mostly safe and batteried. And while she is resisted in fire mode, Ashe is good here for her paralyzed and overall good party utility. Combine her with Queen and a party cleanser for great results. Celeste has also seen a few runs even if she was resisted in water mode. Her LD follow-up attack keeps the enemy brave low. Porum works well as a white crystal character if you didn't use her in tier 3. So I just hit you guys with a ton of information, and chances are your heads are swirling a bit. So let's break this down here into some easily digested chunks. So their HP damage on this stage is going to be frequent and heavy. These enemies are constantly doing HP damage. When the adds die, the boss will enter just a really strong stance where his brave damage reductions go up through the roof and he gains a bunch of brave. You need to break him so that he doesn't nuke whoever he's targeting. But when you break him, then he spawns the adds again and the whole process begins anew. So this stage is really, really annoying. You're definitely going to want to bring some sort of cleanse to really help you out here because the debuffs on this stage are very potent and very annoying too. They really, really wanted to sell people on Yuna on this tier. it's a little, well, you know, sometimes gacha does gacha things, but this is pretty heavy in that regard. But yeah, so a white crystal character, a cleanser, a tank potentially, all are going to be great brings here to really kind of help you out. And then Tifa and Vaughn, of course, the single target damage monsters will be fabulous as well. So that's the left gate. Let's go ahead and move on to the right gate, which thankfully seems to be easier and more digestible than this one. Okay, if the left gate was just an absolute migraine to get through, the right gate does appear to be easier and less stressful. The orb will appear at 79% HP with an 8 count. Deal ranged brave damage is a +2 count, and there's going to be a red crystal character required in the party for a full clear. Key character examples listed are Yuffie, Setzer, Barret, Trey, Cypher, and Aranea. So it's going to be a 75 turn fight. The orb is +2 when target takes ranged brave damage, max 8 turns in the orb. So the orb cap is very low here, only 8 turns. The boss is highly resistant to melee damage and will instant KO any melee attacker. So yeah, don't bring melee here. Even like HP plus, if it's a melee HP plus, don't use it. You will explode. Enemies have a lot of brave game based attacks and are known for having instant turns to watch out for. They also have attacks that have high turn rate if they break you. When a boss hits the 79% and 49% HP threshold, he will automatically do Acid Splash followed by Concentrate. If you don't break them, GG. Acid Splash puts the corrosion debuff on the team for 5 turns. This debuff raises brave damage and HP damage taken by the party by a whopping 30%. Concentrating, which is a blue aura, is a buff that will raise the boss brave up to around 70,000. And defense, the bosses become immune to instant break, which is really annoying. And the party cannot recover brave. Deal critical damage in 2 of your turns before theirs to cancel the aura. The boss will do Ferrum Laser Plus on the next turn, which is a 100% full attack. If you break the enemy or stop their brave gain, then the boss will do Ferrum Laser, which is a non-plus split attack as its next attack. So let me clarify. If you break the boss, then they will not do that Ferrum Laser Plus. Stopping their brave gain will basically just keep their brave at 0, and then you can just immediately break them in GG. So of course you need to bring a red crystal character. Yuffie's perfect for the stage, and Barret is good here too. Cypher is a good choice, and Vaughn and Aerith can work here as well. So range damage, some examples given. Yuffie removes much of the danger of the stage by using her EX debuff to stop brave gains by the enemy, which the enemies do frequently. If you block these enemies' brave gains, this stage falls apart because these guys love to batter themselves, and Yuffie's EX debuff says no, none of that crap. Setzer stops their brave gains as well with his freeze debuff, and his rainbow enchant will help the team to shave down enemy brave. Trey absolutely obliterates the orb, proccing the range damage condition continuously. His off-turn damage will constantly shave them, and will help save you from the concentrating aura. Barret has a 100% crit aura, and RNA's Vital Crusher debuff will guarantee the team has critical hits to bypass the concentrating aura. Cypher will delay the bosses, and his debuffs will hurt their damage. Yield can also be of good use for the stage to lock out the bosses and keep them from attacking the party. You don't need a healer if you can readily block out all their brave gain / attacks, but healing calls can do the job. And that's it. That's it. The right gate has significantly less tips than that left gate did. This one, as a whole, seems much more flexible than the first gate, which is kind of ironic because you can only, well, you need range damage for the orb, and you can't even use a melee attacker, otherwise you will just absolutely explode. So it's funny to me that this one seems to be easier, but there's a lot of ways to get around this one. If you block their brave gains, these enemies become significantly less dangerous. That goes for really any, enemy in the game. But these ones just really rely on like brave gain into HP attacks as part of their whole thing. So yeah, just bring ranged brave damage, and yeah, pretty much good to go. There's a whole lot of ways you can tackle this. Freeze their brave, Yuffie, or Setzer. You can just terror lock these enemies with Eel and call it a day. A lot of fun things you can do here. I just noticed that Ursula's just dropping the hurt. I can't wait to draw for Ursula. She's gonna be fun. She's gonna be fun in global. All right, so there is the right gate. This one, again, compared to that left gate, this one seems like a bit of a breather, which is nice. But what isn't nice is the main gate. That main gate is gonna be something else. Oh my god. So let's go ahead. Let's switch on over. Talk about that main gate and what we need to do to get through it. So immediately, this gate just starts off on the wrong foot. You have two vain horses staring at you right in the face, and they're ready to clap. So the orb will appear at the battle start with an 8 count. It will disappear at 79% HP, and will reappear at 49% HP. The only way to increase the orb is if the party has 12 plus buffs, and that will add 2 to the orb count. Wave 2, the orb will appear at the battle start with a 10 count, disappear at 79%, reappears at 59, and then disappears finally at 39% HP. The orb condition here is for the bosses to take critical brave damage, which is a +2 count. Seems like a pretty easy orb condition, right? So, key character examples, and then in big bold letters they have most strategies utilize 2 supports and 1 attacker. Yuna, Setzer, Yuffie, Porom, Queen, Agrias, Vaughn, Tifa, and Noctis. Boss note, 70 turn fight to truck through 28 million HP. 28 million with a 400,000 damage per turn average to get through it. 400,000. Yeah. We ain't playing around, guys. This is some heavy shit. Not only are the bosses just their mechanics are downright awful, but this stage just keeps going and going and going. It's gonna be just absolute hell. Alright, let's talk about Wave 1. Watch out for Storm's Calling, which they do after they take a turn, which will cleanse their generic debuffs and let them act twice. This won't go away until their all-attack, White Light Black Thunder, which is an AoE Brave attack into a Brave gain, into an AoE Brave HP attack, which can kill without reductions or mitigations. If you take 10 consecutive turns with the enemy acting, they will reduce all Brave and HP damage to 1 and 0 until you let them act. This is indicated by yellow streaks. You can paralyze or let them act to remove the streaks. Terrific! Did you guys like having consecutive turns? No, you didn't. Too bad, it's gone. Alright, so Wave 2. Brave gains at 79%, 49%, and 29% HP. 150,000 Brave Shield at 59% HP, which can potentially stop you from dealing critical damage for the orb. They will also delay themselves for 3 turns. Be careful to let them act, as if you go 10 turns without them acting, they will also reduce Brave and HP damage to 1 until they act. Fun! Both waves do that. Isn't that fun? Yes, it's wonderful. It's great. We'll do AoE Brave attacks that delay your entire party by 1 turn, and single target attacks which delay 3 turns. Also has a single target attack with splash damage, but if you're healthy, it won't be an issue. The boss has Kirag at its move pool, but we have no video evidence of these enemies ever HP healing themselves, even in strategies that involve off-turn damage and having them take significant turns. So, this stage looks like it's absolute chaos, but at least we have that, right? So, key character notes. The most important aspect of the fight. Enemies have skyrocketing defense and brave damage reduction, which makes having 2 supports in the team very helpful. Setzer, Yuna, Queen, Porom, Agrias, Yuffie are very popular across the stage to enable nearly any third character while also enabling each other. Setzer enables characters with a lot of brave hits like Yuna, Agrias, and Queen. Agrias and Porom have brave gain up to enable each other or enable Yuna or the big damage dealers listed above. Note that they do play differently. Porom is more battery defensive oriented, while Agrias is more disruptive and paralyzes. Queen has possibly the strongest auras in the entire game, and her free turn damage considerably helps with the tight turn count. Yuffie removes much of the danger in the last wave, stopping the brave gains that the enemies have after each turn. So there's a couple strategies that you can do here to get through this second wave. The most popular one is just overpower. Vaughn and Tifa, you guys know, these guys just hit like freight trains until these bosses hit red bar. The damage just tanks. These enemies are just, they get so fat and so tanky. This is why they recommended having 2 supports, because even Tifa and Vaughn are going to be dropped to their knees with these reductions. Those 2 characters appreciate Porom and Agris for the brave gain, as well as Setzer, Yuna, and Queen for their auras and HP damage up. Strategy number 2 is just ignore their crap. Run 3 of the supports listed above. Yuna and Queen are pseudo damage dealers and well supported. Setzer, Yuffie, Porom, and Agris play a more disruptive game. Strategy 3 is off-turn damage. Gladio can run with 2 battery supports and no burst in the party, and maintain his LD buff nearly the entire fight thanks to the second wave constantly delaying him. If you're doing that, then bring some calls that can extend his buffs, like Yuna, Hope, and Saz. And strategy number 4 is launch. Noctis and Leo both have completed runs with such a support and battery heavy tier. It's no surprise that launchers are capable of thriving here. So then they linked some creative runs here at the bottom. So the first one they listed was Leo Burst, Queen, and Rosa LDs. Then Tifa, Porom, and Agris. Gladio, Setzer, and Queen. Noctis, Burst, Porom, and Tifa. Eeld, Burst, Vaughn, and Setzer LD. So, oh man, okay. So Wave 1 has a lot of HP damage. It's very heavy HP damage without mitigation or reductions. They can just straight up just wipe you out. GG. There you go. They also do cleanse themselves, and you're going to need a lot of buffs to make their orb go up. But at least if you're in a buff-heavy team, then you don't have to worry about the orb, because the orb will just take care of itself. Now, something these 2 waves do share that's extremely annoying, as you're seeing right here, is that they have these auras that will reduce your damage to basically nothing, and they reduce all of your HP damage to 0 until they act. I really hate this mechanic of where you have to let the enemies have a turn, because usually when they have that, they're also counting summon and burst turns, which is obnoxious, because it's like, well, I have to take a bunch of turns in a row if I'm doing my summon or my burst. So yeah, I don't really like that myself. But yeah, Wave 2 comes along, and these enemies say, hi, did you want to act? Did you actually want to do damage? No, you don't. What you want to do is get constantly delayed, and then, like I said, when they start getting low in health, it's an entirely different ball game. These enemies get so tanky, so ridiculously tanky. So a lot of battery in a comp will go a long way. Porom and Agris with their brave gain up really kind of earn their keep here, just by virtue of that mechanic, because that's really going to enable Tifa, Vaughn, anyone that uses brave gains, as part of their kit, main part of their kit, it's going to enable them so much more. So yeah, oh boy, main gate is going to be an absolute handful. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and switch on over now to where I talk about my comps and how I'll be tackling these individual gates and the main stage as well. It's gonna be tough, but I think I have some pretty solid teams that can get through it. So yeah, let's switch on over. With this Dimensions End Transcendence stage promising not to be a pushover whatsoever, especially the left gate and the main gate, we really need to bring some big guns here. There is one weapon that Global has access to that JP did not, and you guys know who I'm talking about. Oh yeah, for left gate, we are bringing a team of Gladiolus, Yuna, and Core. I think this team is going to be phenomenal here. Core with his rainbow numbers can really help us break through the flan when he gets that high brain damage reduction in a pinch. Gladiolus is going to protect this team so well. With his LD, he's going to be constantly countering. He's going to be preventing damage to the party. And then Yuna is going to be our burst synergy and all of our AoE damage and such. This team actually has great synergy with each other, because with Core constantly firing off his AoEs, this team is constantly battering each other as well, which is going to be essential for getting through this gate, because getting around the damage reductions and such. I feel like this is a very safe team, but I feel like it's also very high damage potential as well. Especially if I can keep Gladiolus' LD on the entire fight, which Yuna is a buff extender, so she actually will add an additional turn to his LD buff. So, you know, having 12 turns instead of 9 total of that LD, it doesn't sound like much, but with Gladiolus, that will go a long, long way. And I'm really excited. I think this team is going to be phenomenal, and I can't wait to get around to clapping it. We're also fulfilling the crystal requirement here, Yuna being the white crystal character. So yeah, I think this will work great. So the left gate is the tough one, because, you know, cleansing is very much appreciated, which Yuna has, and we're also taking care of all the massive HP damage throughout. The right gate is more kind. All you need, the big things here are you need range damage and a way to deal with their concentrating aura. And I've been going back and forth on who to use for this red gate, the right gate, because I do have a couple of ideas on who I think would work well. But with that being said, I think my first crack at the stage is going to be Rosa, Vaughn, and Trey. Now, this team normally would be absolutely phenomenal here. The problem is my Vaughn does not have his LD, and his EX is at 0 out of 3. I'm not going to give him any ingots, and I'm also not going to chase his LD. So, Vaughn's riding gimped here. The nice thing, though, is that he is giving us that burst synergy, and his burst effect should synergize quite nicely with Rosa, and be with her Brave game back or whatever. Trey is going to be fantastic for the orb. He makes the orb just completely just null and void. So, the orb I'm good with. The one thing that I'm definitely worried about here is, can I handle their concentration aura? Because when they go into that, their defense skyrockets, they prevent Brave gain, and they need to be dealt crit damage 2 turns before they act to make it go away. And I don't know if this team is going to have the breaking power to get through that aura or do the crit damage. Now, I am running a Ramsey Call on Trey here because I need Ramsey's Call for the extra buffs so Rose's Wish Fulfillment can reach Tier 3. That one's definitely under consideration. I was really heavily considering Aranea here. I'd have to go and free her from Dimensions in Tier 3. I think she's in 3. Or no, she's in 2. I'd have to go free her from 2, but her Vital Crusher ensuring crits would make that concentration mode, you know, just completely null and void. Plus, you being able to delay the enemies would help quite a bit as well. So if this team doesn't work, I might swap out Trey for Aranea and run Rosa, Vaughn, and Aranea. I think that team would get it done, certainly. So the one downside, though, is that I would have less orb utility, I guess, because Vaughn has no ranged. Rosa has ranged on her EX and her LD only. And then RNA is all ranged. So RNA would be great, but yeah, I don't know. This one's definitely a toss-up for me, guys. Eeld would also be great here, but I don't have his LD, and I sure as hell don't have his burst. So it's definitely some considerations. Yuffie would be nice as well. Yuffie would make their concentration aura just a joke because she would prevent all the Brave gain from it. And her debuffs would be great too, but yeah, I don't know. This one's definitely under heavy consideration, but the nice thing is that this is the kind of the meme comp here. You know, once I get the gate done, I never have to like revisit it or take any of the characters because the main gate is oh, what could it possibly be? Well, to the surprise of no one, I think this team is going to do great here. Again, Yuna's extending Gladiolus' LD buff timer. Gladiolus is going to keep the damage. Well, Gladiolus and Core both are going to keep the damage from the Quillins on Wave 1 significantly reduce. And then Yuna, of course, has all of her battery and cleansing and such. I think this team's going to work really nice. It's got a nice amount of healing. I think it has enough battery on Wave 2 to get past the horrific reductions. Core also has his rainbow numbers, which is going to be a godsend there as well. But yeah, Yuna will have her burst, so for both the left gate and the main gate, so she'll be that burst synergy. I think this team will work. This team seems pretty damn solid on paper, and if I can get by using Gladiolus and Core in the main gate with Yuna, I feel like that's a job well done. So, I think that's all for the video. Yeah. Yeah, the main gate really is the scary thing for me. But with them constantly delaying, especially they're going to be delaying Gladio to the Shadow Realm, his LD is always going to be active, which I'm very much looking forward to. That should be fun. I think all that off-turn damage from him and Core will help us get through that really low turn count of 70 turns. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. And yeah, if it doesn't work, then back to the drawing board, I suppose. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, links will be in the description below for all the sources I used if you'd like to check these fine people out. And yeah, hopefully this helped you out. This is DET4, promises to be very tough, but I'm looking forward to the challenge as always. Dimension's End is probably my favorite game mode in the game, just because of its challenge and how it really forces you to not only use units for the stage, but you also have to adapt for who you've used prior, and then with an eye on the future as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you guys in the next video here very soon. Take care, everyone, and thanks again. See you later.